Hey guys.
Hi.
Shaman.
Brittany.
We are here from Harper Therapy. And last week we talked about defining obstacles.
Yeah.
And an obstacle is kind of something that we don't plan for. It's in the way, right?
Definitely.
and we talked a little bit about how there are some skills and strategies that we can implement in our lives that will help us with these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody likes obstacles and nobody wants to deal with them.
No.
And I mean, I can tell you, just being a business owner, there's always obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a problem. There's always a thing. There's always something broke. And sometimes you look at them and you're like, yeah, we can't overcome that.
Yeah.
But then you figure it out, right? Like, and I'd say that's with kids and school and work,
Right.
and we always have these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but really, the limiting factors of obstacles is what we're kind of focusing on
Right.
this week.
Right. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the limiting factors.
Yeah, what I see about the limiting factors of obstacles is that there's two aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
There is the external, like
Right.
what you talked about, business, relationships, work, schedules kind of thing. But the internal is what I would like to focus on, is what happens on the inside when these obstacles come up,
I mean, we are mental health people, and so what's happening on the inside is kind of important to us and what we're going to
Yes.
focus on. So please lead away.
Absolutely. Because you know what? You're most likely to feel overwhelmed, anxious,
Right.
uncertain, stuck maybe.
Right.
And that happens on the inside. That fear of failure, the doubt, the negative self-talk.
Absolutely.
So it all comes back to, how am I dealing with the
Right.
obstacle that is in front of me?
Well, so much of it is about headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's this thing, and I can't overcome that.
Right.
It's in the way. I can't get around it. I can't. That's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, right? Like, and I think I go through that at least 50 or 60 times before lunch.
Yeah.
On a given day, right? Like, you're like, oh god, this is too much. I don't
That's
want
too
to do
much, yes.
that. So we take these external things
Mm-hmm. That's right.
and we make them so internal. Let alone the internal stuff that we already have.
Going on.
Right? So it all comes back to the internal, really.
Yes.
We were just kind of talking through that a minute ago while we were looking through the blog. And it really does all come back to the internal.
It does. And it piles up, and that's when it feels like it's just unmanageable.
Right.
But two things that I like to point out about the limits,
Sure.
of obstacles, is that when we get into that headspace that you were just talking about, when it starts piling up, then we start comparing ourselves to other people.
Right. So that comparison ism, I don't know what we call it, but comparing ourselves like that, I mean, that's because we're like, oh, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's too much. No, I'll never be that.
Right. And so you see other people, you see what they have, you see what they're doing, and it's
Right.
like, oh, I could never do what they're doing.
Right.
And that just makes it more difficult to be motivated about what's in front of you.
Right. Perfectionism too, right?
Perfectionism. Oh my goodness. Perfectionism. Yes.
We may have like an entire team of perfectionists here. That's something we struggle with in our office a lot, is perfectionism. I think because we strive to do good work.
Yes.
But it can also be debilitating
It can be.
and limiting.
Very limiting.
A big obstacle. You're like,
A
nah,
big
I don't
obstacle.
do that.
All the things, like all the things that we're talking about, but for sure it can, because you set that limit, that bar is high. It's not that you can't, accomplish things. It's just that you can't be perfect.
Right.
It's not possible.
The headspace around these limiting things internally is really important, though.
It is.
Because you can really spiral
Oh yes.
into, it's like a what's the term I'm looking for? It's like a self-creating prophecy or something, right? I can't. And I can't becomes you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the headspace.
Very quickly, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I never will.
Right, and then you stay stuck.
Because,
And then the wall seems too hard to climb then, because how am I going to get out of this?
right. So we help people with these limiting factors, obstacles all the time.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So much of this is about changing the headspace and about you can.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, I think, as a society and a culture, we tend to be pretty self-critical.
Mm-hmm.
And we always find it easier to root for others. But when it comes to ourselves, we're always like, nah, I can't.
Right.
I can't.
Quickly, yeah.
And it's amazing what a little bit of support in your life can do for that.
That's right.
And the kind of strategies and things that you could put in place for your life that kind of move you to I can versus I can't. And that's the kind of thing that we certainly can give you some support and help in.
Yes, to help you to bet on yourself.
Absolutely.
Bet on yourself.
I love it. Bet on yourself. That's awesome.
Yes.
So if this resonates with you, give us a call at 813-434-3639, and we will see you next week.
That's right. Take
All
care.
right. Bye, guys.